Can you tell me about deadheading and when to do it and where to do it?
Yes, it's definitely another hot topic question here that I get a lot. The main thing I would say is try not to overthink it. What you're really doing, there are some aesthetics involved. So when the bloom is done and spent, clipping it off just makes the plant a little more sightly. Some people will take it as soon as it starts to fade at all, as soon as the color starts to lose. Some people will wait until the bloom has completely dried up and it's completely gone. It's more up to the person whenever they like to. If they want to cut them off sooner because they don't like the way they're looking, they can do that. It's pretty much as soon as the bloom is not up to their standards as far as how they want it to look. The most horticulturally appropriate reason to do it is when you're cutting off a spent bloom, what you're telling the rose plant it needs to do is produce another bloom so it can try to reproduce. Because eventually that bloom, if it's pollinated, will produce a rose hip, which is how the plant reproduces itself, because it'll be full of seeds. If you don't cut that bloom off, it's going to try to form that rose hip, and that takes a lot of the rose's energy that could be going to more blooms. So you're encouraging it to continue blooming the whole season. So that's kind of the theory behind why you need a deadhead. Now, of course, I'm sorry, if you don't deadhead, it's not bad for the plant per se. You're just not optimizing how many blooms you can get out of it. This is just rubbing alcohol, and you just give a couple spritz of it to sanitize it. Another good practice is to always make sure that these are nice and sharp and clean. The sharper they are, the cleaner cut you're going to get. It's going to be better for it to heal for the plant. So what we're doing here is we are looking at deadheading this shrub, and you can see it still has some good yellow blooms on it, but it also has several that are already spent, and you can see them left over right here. This type of rose actually blooms in sprays, which you can see 4 different ones in this group right here. So what we want to do here is we want to cut this off, and the simplest way, there's kind of a generalist rule that says you start at the rose and you go down the stem until you find your first 5 leaflet. So if you look, this very first one right here has 3 leaflets, whereas the one underneath it has 5. So you want to go down at least until you get to that leaflet, and you want to cut right above that leaflet where it comes out. There's one more little nuance you can put in there, and that is trying to dictate where the new growth is going to direct itself. So if you can see, this 5 leaflet is on the inside of this stem pointing back towards the main bush, which means that if we were to cut there, the new growth that would come out right here would in general be angled towards the center of the bush. What you generally want in roses is the opposite of that. You want it to be angled out away from the center. So in this particular case, I'm actually going to go down one more leaflet to this one down here, which is pointing outwards, and then I'm just going to cut right above it like that.
Okay, so it angles the direction the leaflet is pointing.
Exactly. So that's an easy way to remember it, is whatever side the leaflet's coming out of is the side the new shoot is going to come out of. And if you look inside, right along the base of the stem, you can see a bud, and that's where the new stem's going to come out of.